Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you are in the world. This is your host, Sabrina Salmi from Radio Works World. Today I'm going to talk to you about my journey, and I'm just going to have a conversation with Marina, to be honest, so I can kind of tap into that a bit more powerfully, so I can engage the bits that need to be shared and comb over what's not so relevant. I'm 36 years old, for 37 actually, just turned 37, I forgot about that. I'm a mother of 5, and I'm currently married, so we're a large family of 7, and the journey has been beyond magical, I would say, for me personally. I'm kind of in awe of the magic that tends to happen when we get out of our own way, when we stop needing to be in control of everything and just be in allowance of the opportunities that are surrounding us every single day of our life. So I guess the journey began from childhood. My mother is St. Lucian and my father is Nigerian. And I guess I was brought up, not I guess, well, I was raised in a single parent family, and our family was very much fragmented. So my mother raised me on her own, not just on her own as a single parent, but practically on her own, very isolated. And she did her best. I remember her having 3 jobs at one point. And I think growing up in that environment always made me determined to, I don't know, to grow up quickly, if that makes sense, so I could help out, so I could support her, because I saw continual struggle and defeat and ridicule, because when I was growing up in the Tower Hamlets, there wasn't so many single parents as much as there is now. So I was pretty much the only one in our neighborhood, if I remember correctly. I think there was a couple of widows, but it was seen a bit differently. So I was kind of picked on for coming, because I came from a single parent family and I wasn't in touch with my father. So I went through quite a lot of bullying early on in my life, and I became a tomboy. At the time I didn't know, but the more I've studied personal development and spoken to people, it's actually quite normal for females to become tomboys, as it's a protective mechanism. So I became very good at sports, and I was quite an angry child growing up. I mean, I was quite angry, but at the center of the anger, I was very loving, very much loving. Trying to remember now, gosh. Marina, is there anything that you think I should touch on, or should I continue to talk about that?
I think you speak from the heart, Sabrina. And when we met last time, what resonated with me is your passion. You are so vibrant, and I know you think you don't own your own time because you have 5 children, you have so many commitments, and of course life gets in the way.
Yes.
But I think they're all excuses. And I think for our listeners, it's important to see that everything is out there already and is done so well. And the only way you could really be remembered and deliver your own legacy, if I might say that, maybe it's too big of a word for Sunday morning, but why not, is to deliver yourself. So just for a moment, think of your own story and think of what you are about and think of what you could be and what are your wishes and how bad do you want that wish to become a reality. To me, it's very simple. The miracle you've been waiting for so long, and I know you did, it's you. You are the miracle you've been waiting for.
You're so beautiful with your words. You kind of put me in a trance there. It's beautiful. Yes. So my essence from a very young age and still today has always been about connection with self, family, and community. And I feel very passionate about that. I feel like it's something that keeps me going. That's my big why. I believe that all of the solutions to our problems is about connection with ourself, family, and community. And we, you know, when I say family, that could be like spiritual family. You know, we can't choose our family, but we can choose our friends who then become our family. And I think pretty much that's what's happened to us on our journey. I think every single thing I used to think I didn't have, God has provided it to us in a different light, but it's tenfold. So we once felt that we didn't have family, but our spiritual family is so vast, so loving, so supportive. Then it became very strange for me to say I don't have family or I don't have support. You know, I don't live very close to my friends, but you know, we've just moved home. But I think what's always rung true for me is that our true currency is not the money that we have in our bank. I'm not saying that money doesn't make a difference. It is. It's a tool, and it depends whose hands it's in. That's who will determine what it'll be used for. But I've always taught my children that their true currency is their integrity, their respect, and their honesty. You know, I am my word. So I think it'll be right to say that my journey has always been a labor of love. I met a beautiful woman yesterday, Bridget, at Tap Into Your Power, Marie Diamond, and Doug, Sammy, Blindell invited us. But it was really magical for me because she said that she has a call and she's only 24, and she was talking about choosing love, and it awoken something in me. Throughout my journey, there's been lots of ups and downs, and we all have that, but I feel that each time I fell over, I chose to choose love. And often people around us might not understand why we're choosing love, and we use words like you're gullible, you're very silly, very innocent. And I've always felt like choosing love was always the best way, because I believe that we have to be mindful of our comic closet. So I can only put in there what I'm willing to open up later on. And I'm always very mindful that I don't choose to do what others choose to do to me. I do what I do because I can, and because I have to take responsibility for that at some point in my journey. So I think that we started to embark on this magical journey whereas I was going through a terrible traumatic time at home, I've been married for the last 11 years, and it's been an absolute roller coaster of ups and downs. But I think coming out of that, it's always been a choice of choosing love. It's always been a choice of focusing on what is it that we desire. And my biggest desire, bigger than anything, is that if I see someone down, I'd love to help them up. And that's the only time I'll look down on somebody, is when I'm actually helping them up. So when I say look down, I don't mean look down. I mean like actually looking at them where they're at and helping them to come up to where they desire to be that by through connection or by some resources or skills that I have. I'm a big believer of us all having sacred gifts, and I have a knowing that this year, despite all the distractions, because they're not really hindrances, you know, I love my family, and I think the challenge is not so much that I have 5 children, it's that I don't have hands-on practical support at home. So that will inevitably slow the journey down, but it would never hinder it. And they've beautifully jumped into this vehicle of transportation, because I only took them along to events purely because of not having childcare. So is it a hindrance? Is it part of a bigger plan? I'm now a big believer that is part of a bigger plan that I just wasn't privy to. That each of the children, even the 3-year-old, are activating in their own magical way. And I also realized that my journey is taking this organic evolution to something else that I wasn't aware of. And I think I'd like to just say to the listeners, just be in effortless flow. Be open to things happening, showing up, just like unexpected pleasantries, and just being open to that, because my plan was, and always has been, to become a coach for women and to work with single parents. And all the signs and all of the things that have been going on is that it's taken me on a new journey. I'm gravitating towards working more with families. People are asking me, how did the children become so entrepreneurial? How did I do that? And to be quite frank, it was never my plan. It was just a centered knowing that these are my children, they're not my possession. And if I'm at home with my children, they're asking me for something, who am I to tell them that their calling is not valid enough because I'm their parent and they must listen to me. So I think this whole journey has been so therapeutic, so growing and invigorating for me as a parent, as a woman and an individual, that we need to learn to get out of our own way, and we need to learn how to get out of our children's way. And I'm not saying to allow children to raise themselves. What I am saying is that there's something going on that's bigger than us. There's something going on that we don't really understand. Often we try to have these big, deep conversations, but we can't resolve these mediocre things that are going on in our communities. And I think what I'm trying to say is that just because you're a parent of a child doesn't mean you have the right to distort that message that child's come to deliver. So very early on, I realized that I had to acknowledge my children for being individuals. I had to make them realize that being individuals was okay. So all 5 of my children are very different characters and it's beautiful. It was an interesting journey, getting to know how to communicate with each of them in a different way, how to somewhat discipline them in different ways. I'm the sort of parent, I don't like to spank children, yell at children. I just like to say, this is what it is, and let's move forward. How are you feeling? I like to have discussions. I believe that they're little souls and they know what they're doing, so let's just talk. But because of the environment they grew up in, I found that there was a little bit of turbulence. So the father would be saying left each time I say right. And I didn't want them to be in the middle of this battle, but there was things going on. And we have family meetings. We sit down and we talk. And I often ask my children, am I getting it right? What can I do to get it right? And how can I become a better version so I can parent you in a better way? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that our children are a bigger part of our plan. They're our team, they're our spiritual team. There's a reason, obviously, why we've chosen to come to this planet and to be a part of the same family. So the question is, what does your team stand for? Where are you going? And it doesn't have to be set in stone, but just have a destination set. And obviously, while you're on that journey, you might want to stop off at the beach or stop off a beautiful picturesque landscape that you see. I just think it's really nice when families have a united goal, so everyone feels valued for being individuals, but at the same time they know they're part of a bigger whole, and it just really reflects back to the community. We're all part of this community. But at times, some communities are very fragmented. We don't know each other, we don't connect, and we've forgotten the essence of what it is to connect at a deeper level. I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper. So why is it that we've forgotten how to look in each other's eyes? Why have we forgotten how to touch each other? Why have we forgotten how to have those beautiful conversations with strangers? And I'm not saying that everyone does, but on the whole, society has become, I guess, a very scary place. I would say since growing up, I've spoken to clients, and although I'm having beautiful experiences myself, I'm talking about the bigger, I'm not saying I don't talk to people. I do talk to people when I'm out and about. I can't stop. I've got verbal diarrhea most of the time. But I think what I'm trying to say is that it's not just about me, it's about the bigger community. And the feedback I get is that there's a lot of people that are lonely. And with 7 billion plus people on this planet, I found that quite disturbing, that there are so many of us together, but we're just together synthetically. We're not actually connecting. And I think with the heightened pressure of social media, that we're slowly falling apart at the seams. But social media is actually a blessing when used right. I think the blessing with social media is that you can connect with anybody, anywhere in the world. Would you agree, Marina, about what I'm kind of tapping into?
Yes, I think you are talking about how to navigate through pre-midlife crisis and beyond. You grew up very early, you mature very early.
Yes.
The child never left you. You carry that child, and this is who you are. You are sharing your stardust, and We are made of stardust.
Yes.
And we all know life is not, it's far from being a straight line. It's more of a string with thousands of notes, and uh, our listeners could relate to this. But there are moments when you can't help but wonder what is possible, you know? And the disconnect you feel around you is the disconnect everybody feels within themselves. Because the social conditioning, the limiting beliefs, everything that is expected of you through your lifetime, it's not really a healthy environment. It's not a, how I call it, a stardust environment where you've been born in. And making that jump from stardust into nothingness, from holiness into nothingness, it's very traumatic for anyone, and very few people could maintain that child within. And of course, to me, the solution was to connect with myself, and it wasn't about seeking something, or actually, it was stopping chasing opportunities. That was the solution for me. But everybody is different, and once you stop chasing opportunities, you become the opportunity you seek. So I think delivering yourself means at very different levels for each one of us. Means really and truly connecting with yourself.
Yes.
And taking time, because you can't rush into a personal development program thinking, oh, I have to be like them, or when I grow up I want to. I hear that a lot from my clients, and I'm saying, no, why would you grow up? So I think because I've been a widow or most of my life, and I learn from my children, and their stardust is contagious. So I think you're absolutely right. Your children are not really able to hold you back because you are growing with them, and they maintain you young and vibrant. And connecting with yourself is a choice, you know. And I think we are talking now about the one gift each one of us already have,
Yes.
is the gift of giving.
Yes.
What would you like to give to our listeners? What is the key message that you would like to share with them?
I guess my key message is just give yourself permission to share your sacred gift, and be open to the fact that it doesn't have to be this big extravagant thing. Your sacred gift is that, just by sharing it. Because I think I've heard a lot of clients say, oh, mine is not like this, or it's not like hers, or it's not like yours. We feel that we have to compare it. It's just that if we show up as our unique piece of the puzzle, that is significant, because without one piece of that puzzle can't be complete. So it doesn't matter how minute it might seem, just be that. Because sometimes people just want to be a housewife or a house husband, and someone would say, no, you have to go out and you have to step, but in their core, that's what they feel they want to do. It's different with someone doing it when they don't really want to and they feel like, oh, I should. But if that's all you ever want to do is paint or walk, maybe you're supposed to be that stranger that walks into someone else's life and just shares a smile. But unless we trust ourselves, our true inner being, we can't share that sacred gift. And when we start to compare our gifts to other people's, we lose sight of what we're really here for, I think.
Wow. So Sabrina, what are your breaking news? You know, I believe that sharing is the sacred secret of life.
Yes.
And I'm talking about sharing the good news. And in this instance, you are the good news. What are the good news, Sabrina?
What is the good news?
Yes, what are your good news?
Wow. Wow. That's a very good question. That's really caught me off guard. Just I feel like I'm only halfway out. I think that's where a lot of my resistance is coming. There's so much that I know I am, but I'm not truly being yet, if that makes sense. I'm getting to grips with the fact that I already have all that I need in order to do what I need to do. But I'm kind of in the midst of grounding myself. There's lots of things changing. So I think the good news is that have fun learning. I think we take life too seriously. We need to learn to be a bit more present. And I'm speaking to myself, I feel the most magical moments in our lives is just when we've just been spontaneous and present and just trusted. The most wonderful things have occurred when we've just trusted. When I talk about the journey of myself or my children, I'm in awe of what's possible when you allow. My oldest daughter, who's 16, she's got a CV, and when I looked at her CV, it took me back to childhood, because one of my biggest missions was that I didn't want my children, or any other children for that matter, to be chosen. I remember having a meeting with my careers advisor, and I had these big and magical dreams. And she said, no, get out of your dreamer. Life isn't for dreaming. Wake up. You need to take it serious now. And that's always stuck with me. So I think my good news is that there's no time or age or point in your life that you need to get started. Just get started. Allow children to activate if they want to. I don't believe in pressurizing children. I think that's also the wrong thing to do. But if a child has a dream, don't say that you can't do it because you're a child. Let them do. Play is practice. I always say to my children, play is practice. So I'm not saying to be careful. I don't say to them, choose this game for this, but I always remind them, if they're doing something that I don't particularly think is going to benefit them, I just say to them, what are you practicing? What is that going to add to the mix? So I think my good news is that there are organizations, there are mentors, there are people out there willing and excited to mentor children. When would now be a good time to just reach out and ask and talk? Cheryl Chapman has been very huge in our journey. Andy Harrington, Tosin Oganusi, Sammy Blindell, Miles Fryer. All these people came into our journey, and so many more, including yourself, Marina, just because we was an allowance and open to receiving and to have a bit more fun learning. So my children have got grants at the age of 11, whereby they give them money and a business mentor for a year to have fun learning. They don't do what they do for significance. They do what they do to have fun learning. I want them to become well-centered and grounded adults, so whereby they don't feel limited by, social conditions and stereotypes, that they just have fun learning. They're not actually playing their bigger game yet, and they're having so much fun learning. I want business and finances to be an unconscious thing for them. So I guess that's my message. Just learn to be more playful, have fun learning, don't be so serious. And we need to stop thinking that when things happen to us from other people, it's got nothing to do with us. And I think that was one of my biggest lessons in my journey. I used to feel that all of the things that I went through was because I was a bad person or they hated me. And yes, I was a part of my problem just as much as I'm a part of my solution. But these things didn't happen to me because I was a mean person. Most of the time, people were just projecting, and you just happen to be there, especially if you don't have healthy boundary systems. I had to learn that it was okay to say no and be unapologetically myself and just say no without having to explain myself. And I'm not saying that I am that at all given instances, but I love the fact that my cork bobs back up to that at any given time. I've given myself permission now to be more in tune with that. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes. It's okay to ask. And I think asking is a big thing. Well, it was a big thing for me. And I find that it is a big thing for many other people, that we're often ashamed to ask. And I must say that we as a family and myself are where we are today because we got over ourselves and started to ask. There's a magical power in asking. See, when someone likes giving so much, and I love giving to people, and someone said to me, when you give, does it feel good? And I said, yes. And they said that when you don't ask and you don't allow people to give and you don't allow yourself to be a good receiver, you're blocking someone else from their blessings. You're stopping that person from experiencing that very thing that you love that keeps you going. And that rang true to me, because I then had a different perspective on asking. I then realized that when I ask, I'm learning to be a good receiver. And where I was before, I was just giving and not receiving. So I was out of balance. And, you know, nature gives us clues about balance. There's an organic synergy of the way things are there. You know, you don't take an apple from a tree and it's out of balance. The seeds are in the apple and you can replant. You know, nature has an effortless way of giving and receiving without saying, I gave you 2 leaves, can you give me back this? So it's that if we get into that rhythm of organically asking, organically giving, without the need of thinking that I give you and you need to give me back, you give because you can, and just know that life naturally gives back to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the same apple tree that you picked from. But I think that that might be my message, actually, is that unique balance of giving and receiving, because I noticed that there's a seamless connection between everything that I do in terms of the giving and receiving. Because now that I've learned how to become an excellent receiver, I feel that my life is really starting to take on a new shape. The things that we receive as a family and myself and personally, it's beyond my understanding, to be quite frank. From the premise of understanding that our family would be deemed to be a family in poverty when we started out. I remember days when we had £60 to, you know, feed a family, which is, you know, in 2011, 12, that's not a lot at all. But because I was always giving, it would just organically come to us. You know, when we needed something or we needed an opportunity, we would just barter. And I think these are 2 other things that people need to tap into. We say we don't have enough money. Our true wealth is our integrity. Our true wealth is our sacred gift. So do we not have that currency to exchange, or do we? So when we tap out of the belief, the illusion, should I say, that our true value is tied to a promise note, I think that's when the real magic starts to happen. Because would you agree that if you had a friend that built private jets, and perhaps you built houses, what money would you need to exchange to help each other? And I mean a friend that's like your spiritual family. See, we do things for each other effortlessly when we love each other, and money it's hardly discussed. You know, it's kind of, I've had people frown at me when I try to pay for things with money, whereas we just exchange, we just look after each other, we just support each other. We're just at the end of the phone. But one thing I want to say, this all has to be done genuinely or it doesn't work. And I've had people say to me, how do you network? And I never understood that question. I was thinking, what do you mean, how do you talk to people? Because I always did it, but I wasn't consciously aware. But one of the things that's come up in discussions is that sometimes we feel that we can pull the wool over people's eyes. And I always say to people is that when you have something or things or someone that comes together in order to keep you up, be mindful that you're the top of the table. And if you knock down those legs, ask yourself, which legs do you have to stand on? So I've heard people make terms like, I'm going to connect with the money people. I want to be with wealthy and rich people. And I would say that my friends are wealthy as opposed to rich. And what I mean by wealth is that I believe that wealth it encapsulates intuition, being centered. Yes, they have financial income, but it's more about that person and where they're going spiritually. It's more about that person being aware. And when I look at it in that term, and that person is there for me, only a fool would try and cheat somebody or something that is trying to lift them up. So it's something I teach my kids from a very young age is, you know, give to people in an authentic way without expecting anything back. And I think that's really my message, is about how can you give truly of yourself without expecting anything back, without taking notes, without holding a tab and saying, I did this for you, you must do this for me. Just trust that it's already been done for you. Your organs function without you thinking of it. Things come in and out of your life. But the true fact is that it's not really a case of us not having enough, not being enough, or not seeing enough. It's about us actually being open to receiving what's already there, like Marina quite frankly said.
Wow. So Sabrina, you are saying that in real life, the vault of your dreams is your wealth. And of course, there are rich people who they master their wealth.
Yes.
So it's all about mastering your gift. It's all about working with what you have and making the best of it. It's not about becoming somebody else. It's not about reinventing yourself. It's simply being who you are.
Yes.
And it's simply becoming your best spokesperson.
Yes.
For your own vision. Because I have this clarity when it comes to the definition of success, and success means different things for different people. But for me, it's a karmic coin. On one side is your past, who happened not to you but for you, and on the other side is your vision. And your vision is something that nobody could access unless you deliver it, unless you turn it into your own reality and you invite other people in. It's not about selling other people your product. It's not about doing this pitch about how good the product is, but it's about, wow, I have something that benefited me and I'm sharing that with you now. And you are opening the gate into something magical, into something that is so powerful that once you're in, you have all the options. And it's just a matter of courage to step into your own greatness and allow others to be enlightened and becoming the light or the star, whatever you want to call it, on other people's dark sky. Because each one of us, I don't think there is any human being who wasn't in a dark place. I think the light that you carry is your true gift. And unless you bring it out, nobody will ever know. I think our listeners will love to have you back, and our listeners will be delighted to hear more often from you. And maybe even if you interview your children about their vision, about what they see, and about what is happening in their mind, in their hearts, it's an amazing way of connecting, helping our listeners to connect with themselves. And coming back to what we have, and you said so beautifully, you have it all. Is in fact what we have is right now, is happening right here, right now. And I know, I'm well aware that all I have is being here with you and our listeners.
Yeah.
And I'm also aware that it's up to us what we make of it. And I'm also aware that we are capable, with no further education, with no further doubting, if I could say that, to deliver the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of practice, because the more you share your vision, the more that becomes possible. And the more you are offering yourself as a gift to the world, the easier it is for the world to access you. So tell us, where could our listeners access you, Sabrina?
I like that. Yes, I'm on Facebook. If you just type in my name, Sabrina Ben Salmi. Ben Salmi is the surname, Ben space Salmi, M for mother. My email address is T for Tommy, M for mother, S for sugar, P for Peter again, at yahoo.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. I think my Twitter handle is www.tmspp.org. Yeah, I'm very, very accessible. You could put my name or Ben Salmi into Google. There's lots of things that we want to do. And I think now is the time that I'm being more an allowance. So like I said before, I wanted to work with families, with women, but now I'm open to where this journey is taking us, and it seems to be more geared towards families. And I'd be interested just to hear how I can show up in your life, how I can assist you. One of the things I'm creating at the moment is discussions of exploration. So it's quite interesting you saying to interview the kids, Marina, because I think it's just about throwing those seeds out there. So I want to create a platform whereby I can just have those in-depth discussions of exploration. I find that I always struggle when I'm given structure, because my true nature is flow. So I like to have those discussions that just expand organically. I think that's where the true magic is. Don't get me wrong, structure is necessary in different areas of life. It's just something that I find that I don't operate predominantly well from structure. I have to be in flow so I can naturally come out and then naturally just vibrate at that and just have those engaging conversations. And I've got a website, www.sabrinabensalmi.com. Thank you, Marina.
Sabrina, to me, in my mind now is this one sentence: no winter could stop spring. From both of us, until next time, because definitely it's going to be a next time with Sabrina. Goodbye.
Bye.